You hear it everywhere, right? The big story about the future. AI is coming for our jobs. But today, we're going to peel back the layers on that story using this really insightful analysis by an engineer named Kavita J. She gives us a look at what's really going on behind the code. So let's get into it.
I mean, this is the headline we all see. It's the promise that gets sold in boardrooms and blasted across the news. The whole idea is that these AI systems are going to be these perfect, predictable machines. A clean upgrade from, well, messy and unreliable people like us.
But here's the twist. According to Kavita J, the actual engineers on the front lines, the people who are building this stuff, they're living in a totally different reality. And that reality is a lot less certain and way more complicated.
So let's start by digging into this myth about AI replacing everyone. Kavita J points out that this clean, flawless vision of AI has already slammed right into the messy, unpredictable real world, and the results have been pretty public.
And look, these aren't just hypotheticals. We've actually seen hiring tools that were supposed to be objective end up just amplifying the biases we already have. We've seen self-driving cars get into accidents and situations that just weren't trained for. And come on, we've all seen chatbots go completely off the rails. It just goes to show you, AI doesn't erase real-world problems. A lot of the time, it just inherits them.
Okay, so this brings us to the absolute heart of Kavita J's argument. It's this concept that is so fundamental to engineering, but you almost never hear it mentioned in the public conversation. And that concept is uncertainty.
This is such a powerful idea, you know? We have this image of engineering as this super precise, perfect science, but what Kavita J explains so well is that the real work isn't about building something flawless. It's about constantly managing and navigating this unavoidable, ever-present uncertainty.
There's a formal term for it, epistemic uncertainty. But all that really means is that when you build something complex, there are just limits to what you can know and predict. And here's the kicker. AI doesn't solve this. In fact, it adds whole new layers of probability and unpredictability to the mix, making things even more uncertain.
So where does all this uncertainty come from? Well, Kavita J breaks it down into three main buckets. First, the tech itself can be a black box. It's often hard to know exactly why it's making the decisions it's making. Second, things just change over time. Systems break down, and AI models can drift or get less accurate as they see new data from the real world. And third, the world itself is always in motion. Markets change, people get new ideas, and all of that puts new pressures on the system.
Okay, so if engineering is just swimming in a sea of uncertainty, why does the story we all hear sound so certain? Well, this gets us to a fundamental clash in how different people see the world, which Kavita J really brings to light.
You can really see the disconnect here. On one side, you have the public story, the one driven by media and business, that loves bold predictions and simple, confident headlines. But on the other side, you have the engineering reality, which is a world of ambiguity, trade-offs, and constantly managing risk. As Kavita J puts it, it's like they're speaking two completely different languages.
And this is so crucial because it creates this totally distorted view of the work. When an engineer raises a red flag, or when a project gets delayed because they found a new risk they need to handle, outsiders can see that as failure or incompetence. But really, it's just them doing their job responsibly.
This brings us to a really fascinating part of the analysis, how this whole hidden reality of uncertainty is completely transforming the job of a key person in tech, the software tester, or what's often called an SDT.
First, let's just be crystal clear on this. AI doesn't get rid of uncertainty. It's an uncertainty multiplier. It dramatically amplifies it. Because AI is built on probabilities, it introduces a whole new kind of unpredictability. And that means the need for smart, skilled human oversight doesn't go away. It explodes.
And this is forcing a huge evolution in the tester's job. In the past, it was pretty straightforward. Find the bugs. Then it became more about ensuring overall quality. But now, Kavita J argues the future of this role is something she calls risk stewardship. They're becoming the expert guardians who have to manage all this uncertainty in these wild, complex AI systems.
So what does an AI steward actually do all day? Well, they're not just checking boxes anymore. They design tests to see how a system holds up when things get messy and chaotic. They're trying to figure out how an AI might behave a year from now after it's seen a bunch of new, weird data. They're on the absolute front lines of spotting ethical risks like bias. And maybe most importantly, they champion the idea that quality isn't about being perfect. It's about actively managing risk.
So you've got this huge gap between the public hype and the engineering reality. How do we bridge it? Kavita J proposes that what we really need, more than anything else, is a change in mindset.
She calls it epistemic humility, and it's basically the perfect antidote to all the hype. All it means is recognizing the limits of what we actually know, and this is the important part, learning how to tell the difference between a confident-sounding sales pitch and the messy technical truth.
This is so important. If we're going to have a healthy conversation about AI, we have to create a world where engineers can be honest about the trade-offs and the unknowns without getting shot down for being negative or slowing things down. We need to actually start rewarding nuance and realism.
I think this quote from Kavita J just says it all. The real story here isn't just the tech, it's the people behind the scenes. While the world is obsessed with headlines about replacement, it's the engineers and testers who are quietly doing the essential human work of building systems we can actually trust.
And that leaves us with this final question to chew on. And it's bigger than just AI, right? It's about how we talk about the future, how we lead our companies, how we consume information. In a world that is screaming for simple, certain answers, how do we get better at making space for the complicated, uncertain, and honestly much more helpful truth?